Hello, everyone. This is Kenneth Hollins with HollinsMusic.com and MyKeyboardConnection.com. I just wanted to take a few moments and to share with you some tips that I believe will help you as a gospel musician in learning how to play gospel songs. As we all know, as gospel musicians, that many times we have to learn songs by ear. For whatever reason, we may not be able to find a video tutorial or chord chart or MIDI file of that particular song, but we would like to learn it or we need to learn it. And so, in those situations, we're forced to learn songs by ear. But I've learned that any song that you hear, you really can learn it by ear. So, what I'm going to do right now is just share with you some tips and some things that have helped me down through the years in learning to develop my ears and to learn to play songs by ear. First thing is this: it helps to learn songs when you first start to do this, to learn songs by videos, chord charts, MIDI files from a friend or a teacher, someone that can help you to learn the songs the correct way with the correct chords or the correct chord progressions. You want to make sure that you are using some type of resource that is helping you to learn songs the correct way. And with technology now, it's real easy. You can go on the internet, you can sign up for various clubs, or you can purchase videos, you can download MIDI files. So many good ways where we can learn songs the correct way now. And so that's the first thing you want to do is you want to start learning songs the correct way. And when I say learn songs, I mean to really learn them to where you don't need to look at paper. You don't need anything to try to help you remember how to play the song, but you really learn the songs by heart. That's really important when it comes to really developing your ear in terms of learning songs how to play by ear. So that's the first thing. And once you learn the song, like I said, it's real important to internalize the song. And by internalize, I mean you play the song over and over and over again until you not only can play the song without much effort, without much thought, but you internalize the sound of the chords and the sound of the progressions in your ear. Now, that's real important. You have to really internalize the sounds of the chords and the sounds of the progressions in your ear. And that's important to the process of learning to play songs by ear. And again, you do that through repetition, playing the song over and over and over again until you develop something that's called muscle memory, to where your fingers and your hands, in a sense, just remember what to do without much thought from you. So that's real important. Third thing is while you're learning songs from videos or tutorials or from a teacher, MIDI file, sheet music, whatever you're learning it from, along with doing that, you need to also be trying to learn songs by ear alone with no help from anyone. It's important to do that. The ear is much like a muscle. And if you want that muscle to be stronger, you have to work that muscle out. And so through the action of trying to learn a song by ear, you're really working that muscle out. You're working the that muscle of your hearing out. And the more you do it, the better you will get. You'll notice if you're really doing it the right way that things that you could not hear as well will soon become easier to hear, and you'll start to get to the place where little details and things that you couldn't hear at first, they start to stand out a little bit more and it's a little clearer to you. And it's a progression. You'll notice, or you may not even notice because it's a gradual thing, that you will get better and better and better as you keep trying to do it. So it's important while you're learning songs from different resources that you're also learning songs by ear alone. And what I would recommend is you want to start off simple. You don't want to pick a song that's too complicated at first. You want to start off with something that's real basic, something that does not have a whole lot to it, and something that you really could master, as a beginner. So that's real important. And I would recommend songs that have basic three-part choir harmony. That's how I started with. I would start with a basic song, and I found out that many of the chords of the song, the choir actually sings the chords. So those are great songs where I would actually listen to the notes that the sopranos were singing, and pick those notes out by ear. And then I would listen to the notes that the tenors were singing, and then try to pick those notes out by ear. And then I would try to listen to the alto note. I had a little trouble hearing that middle note, that alto note, but I would try to pick that out by ear, and then put all three notes together. And I noticed that it was the chords. In many cases, it was actually the chords to the song. And so then I would take that and put it with the bass notes or the bass line, what the bass guitars were playing, and put all that together, and it would sound much like how the song actually sounded. So I would recommend real simple songs, and songs that are like that are a good example. I'll go old school. Let's take a song like I Have a Testimony. Um, okay, now that's in the key of A flat. Now, say for example, I wanted to learn that, and I didn't feel real comfortable with learning songs by ear. One thing that I could do is listen for what the sopranos are singing. Okay, and normally when you first do that, we are generally able to hear singing better than we can hear actual instruments. Like we can identify the notes that a person is singing better than we can the notes that are played on the instrument when we first start to do this. So that's why I recommend listening for voices first. So the sopranos would be singing. And so I'm listening to them sing that, and I'm trying to pick that out on the piano. Okay, and so I would take the time. It may take me several minutes to figure that out, but I would take the time and figure those notes out and remember those notes. And then I would listen to what the tenors were doing, and it would sound something like this. And then I would take those two notes, put them together, soprano and the tenor note together. Okay, and then I would continue the process and then try to put the alto note in there too. Okay, and then put them all together. Okay, and that is real close to how you would play the song. Just doing that alone gets you to the place where you're real close to how the song actually sounds, if it's a song like that. Now, all songs don't carry the chords in the actual vocal parts, but many songs do. But what I'm trying to show you is a way to get started in doing this, and it helps to develop the ear to where you can get to more complicated songs. So once we do that, then we can listen to the bass note or the bass line. And so the bass guitarist may be doing something like, I'm in the key of A flat. I'm just moving from the A flat to the E flat, which is the 1 to the 5, 1 to the 5. Okay? Or the bass could be doing this. Okay, I'm just showing you real simple examples of the things that you would listen for when you're trying to learn a song by ear. So that's real helpful to take real basic choir songs to really get you started with doing this. And what will happen is your ear will start to become more keen. You'll start to be able to hear things better. You'll start to be able to pick things out better. It's like you're working out your muscles. You're getting stronger and stronger each time that you do it. And then the level of the music in terms of the complexity, you'll be able to go up a little bit each time. So that's what I would recommend in terms of really getting started with doing this. Now, when you actually pick out a song and you start to try to learn this song, I would suggest this is what I do first. I listen for the key of the song. And the key of the song is, in a sense, like the main note of the song. Um, Theoretically, you could call it the tonic, or in a sense, it's the most important note of the song. It's the main key of the song. And when you try to explain it, it's kind of difficult to explain. It's more of a thing where you really need to experience it to really understand the key of the song. And for example, in the song that I played, I have a testimony. It's a note in this chord that is the main note of the song, and it would be the key of the song. Okay? And so, one simple way, if you don't have perfect pitch, one simple way to figure out how to identify the key is to start like in middle C and play half steps and play every note and listen to every single note until you get to the note that sounds like it's the most important key. So what I'm going to do is play this chord, and then I'm going to move up in half steps, meaning I'm going to play every single note, not skipping any note, and I'm going to listen to every note to see if that note sounds like the most important key. Okay? So let's see how we can do this. So I'm going to play the chord down here, and then I'm going to start on middle C and work my way up in half steps like this. Okay, so I'm going to go slowly. At first, we don't want to try to take it too fast. Okay, and so this would be the key of the song. I'm actually playing an A flat. So the key of the song would be A flat. Okay, now that's a real basic and general way to find the key of the song, is to slowly move up in half steps until you find the key that you think is the correct one. Okay, and sometimes it's easy to confuse the fifth the fifth of the song with the actual key of the song, but you want to be careful. But it's something that you will experience as you do it more and more, and as you try to do it more and more, you'll get better and faster, and pretty soon you won't have to take a lot of time to find those keys. You don't want to have to do that all the time, but starting off, that's okay when you first get into doing this. Okay, after you figure out the key of the song, you want to identify whether or not it's in a major key or a minor key. Once you figure out the main key, you want to identify, okay, is it A flat major or is it A flat minor? Now, the best way I know to tell you how to do that without getting real theoretical is to tell you to listen to the sound of the song. If the song is bright or has somewhat of a happy sound, chances are that's in a major key. But if the song is somewhat dark or has like a sad sound, it's probably in a minor key. Now that's a real basic, simplified way of figuring that out, but it actually does work if you think of it like that. Okay, and so if I played this chord right here, is that major or is that minor? Is that a major or minor key? Is it happy or is it sad? It's actually a major key. All right, that's D major. Okay, what if I played this chord here? Is that major or is that minor? That's minor. Okay, that's a minor key. So that's what I mean. You want to listen to whether the song is in a major key or in a minor key. And I can give you an example of actually playing songs in a minor key. Okay, so whatever I play, you want to listen to the feel or the mood or the atmosphere that the song is giving off or producing, in a sense, and you want to identify whether it's minor or major. So in that example that I just gave you, that was actually in a minor key. Okay, so you want to listen for that. Now, the reason it's important to identify major or minor is because that's the scale that you're going to use. So if we played a song in a major key like this, okay, that was in a major key, and that's actually D flat major. So what I'm going to think about now is what are the notes of the D flat major scale, okay? And by major scale, I mean this. Okay, we've all heard that. We've probably all played that. That's just simply a major scale in the key of D flat, okay? So I figured out that the song was in the key, the main key was D flat. Then I figured out that it was a major key. Now I need to figure out what's the major scale of D flat, which is, okay, those notes like that, okay? And it would be, first note would be 1, second note would be 2, third note would be 3, next note 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then if I come back down, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now the reason that's important to know your scales is so that you can identify the number that goes to each particular note of the scale, and that's going to help you in learning to play songs by ear. Okay, and so one thing that I strongly recommend for all gospel musicians is to learn all of your major scales in all 12 keys. There's 12 different keys, so there are 12 different major keys, should I say, and 12 different minor keys as well. But you want to learn all 12 major scales, okay? And this is what I mean. Okay, that's C, D flat, D, E flat, E, F, G flat, G, okay, that's A flat, A, B, that was B flat, now this is B natural, and then back to C. So I played all 12 scales, and I knew the notes of the scale. And what I mean is you need to know them without having to figure it out by ear. Now, we all could figure it out by ear. If we made a mistake, no, no, yeah, okay, okay, no. So we could figure it out by ear. So that's not the point, figuring it out by ear. But the question is, do you know it? Even if I had the piano turned all the way down and I was playing the notes and couldn't hear the notes, would I be confident that I'm playing the right note when I turn it back up? That's how well you want to know your scales. Whether you can hear them or not, you know what the notes are, you know what the numbers are to those particular notes. And you want to know all of your major scales in all 12 keys. So I strongly recommend that you do that. And that's going to help you with a lot of things, not just playing by ear, but a lot of other things that that we like to play and like to do as gospel musicians. Okay, once you figure that out, um, you want to then think about the bass notes or the bass line of the song, okay? And you just simply listen to what the bass guitarist is playing and you try to figure those notes out. Okay, after you figure out the key and if it's major or minor, then you figure out the bass notes or the bass line, okay? So whatever it may be. You know, whatever the bass note is or the bass line is to the song, so you want to pick that out. And you want to pick out what I call the target notes, the main notes of the bass line. So I did, you know, I just played quite a bit that bass players would actually do. But what are the most important notes in that bass line that I just did? It would probably be something like 1, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. Okay, so even though I did more than that, okay, but but the main or the target notes would be the 1, 3, 6, 2, 5 to the 1. And so we want to simplify and identify what those real target notes are. And that's important because what that does is it gives us a starting point in terms of what the chords possibly could be. So the first note was on the 1, which is on the D flat. So I know chances are it's going to be some type of D flat chord. It may be D flat major, it may be D flat minor, it may be D flat suspended, it may be D flat dominant. I'm not sure yet, but just the fact that I know that the bass note is on D flat gives me a good starting point, a point in terms of figuring out what the chord is that goes to that particular bass note. Okay, so that's why I like to start with the bass note first. Okay, and the reason I like to know my major chords, excuse me, my major scales, is because if I know what the major scales are, chances are that the bass notes are going to fall within the notes of that major scale. Okay, I would say 75% of the time, the notes in the song would actually fall within the major scale if it's in a major key. If it's in a minor key, then the bass notes would fall within the notes of that minor scale. We'll talk about major and minor scales in just a second. But it gives me, it weeds out a lot of different possibilities if I know my scale, my major scale, because the notes that I'm playing, chances aren't going to fall within the notes of the scale, the major scale or the minor scale. Now, sometimes you're going to have notes that are outside of the scale, but that's not the norm. You know, you'll have that happen every now and then where you may have something like, you may have something like that. And that does happen quite often, but most of the notes are going to actually fall within the scale. So that's why it's good to know the notes of your scales, because it's going to help you to weed out a lot of things that are not good choices in terms of figuring out the notes. Okay? Now, after you do all of that, to get started, what I like to do is what's called the trial and error test. Now, you can do the trial and error test theoretically, and you can also do it by ear. And what I mean by that is that you can listen to the chord that you're trying to play. And let me just throw this in right now too. You need to have some type of stereo system to where you can hear the details very well. If you're using headphones, you want to make sure you're using headphones that are real clear, that you can hear the bass notes very well, and that you also can rewind to specific points in the song easily. That's real important. You need to have something that when you play it, you can rewind it back to a certain point, and keep going back to there without a lot of effort. Because as you're learning songs, many times you have to rewind, go back to a particular point and keep listening to it over and over again because you're trying to figure it out. And it helps to have a good system. So if you don't have one, you may want to invest in maybe a pair of good headphones or good speakers or something where you can really hear the details. You need to hear the bass real well, and the chords and everything needs to be clear with clarity. And that's going to help you in figuring these things out. And you need to have a way where you can rewind back to certain points in the song easily and quickly while you're learning the song. So that's important. So back to the trial and error test. What that is you will actually go to a particular point in the song and listen to that point in the song. Say you've learned the bass note, you figured out what that is. So now you need to figure out what the chord is. Okay, one thing you can try is I like to try 8 basic chords, and that is the major chord, the minor 7 chord, the major 7 chord, the dominant 7 chord, the suspended chord, the diminished, and the augmented chord. Now I have a video, excuse me, on YouTube that explains how to play these basic chords. So I would recommend, if you don't know how to play them, to go to YouTube. And I'll put a link up so where you can find that video. But watch it. I have a technique or a system that if you know all of your major chords, you can figure out the rest of the chords I just mentioned. And it's real easy. It's real easy. It's just based on half steps and whole steps. And if you know what a half step and a whole step is, you can do it. Okay, so it's real simple. So I would recommend you viewing that video to help you to know how to play all 8 of these different chords. And so in the trial and error test, I would simply try to see with the bass note. Okay, does major does it sound right? Maybe not. Does minor sound right? Maybe not. I'm not sure. You still listen. You're listening. Does minor 7 sound right? Or does major 7 sound right? Does dominant 7 sound right? Does suspended sound right? Does diminished sound right? Does augmented sound right? And you go through those chords, and it may seem like a lot, but the more you do it, the faster you'll get. It won't take a long time as you get more and more comfortable with it. Okay, so you will try all of those different chords. Now that's one way to do it, and you listen to what you think is the closest sounding chord to what you're listening to on the recording. Okay, another way to do it is to just to play a single note that you hear in the actual chord. Okay, and then you just listen closer and you try to hear another note in the chord and you play another note. You listen to see if you can hear individual notes in the chord. Now this takes a little bit more um, I would say experience in terms of actually being able to play by ear, but you will get to the point where you actually can hear the individual notes within a chord. If you really listen, you really can. If you go back and listen to the chord over and over, you may hear the top note of the chord. Say for example, it's a piano that you're trying to figure out what the chord is, and it may be this. Okay, and you don't know what the chord is, but you can hear the top note. You hear this. So you play the song and you play past that little chord in the actual song, and you say, man, what is that chord? And you keep listening to it, and you hear that top note standing out. You hear that note. You say, okay, I hear the top note. Oh, so the trial and error test would be like this. Okay, since I hear the top note, let me rewind again and let me try another note with this top note to see if it sounds like it's right. Okay, so you may try that note right there, and you play the song. You say, no, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound like it's the right note. Because if you're playing the right note, it's gonna sound perfect. It's gonna sound perfect. Okay, and then you try it again. I know that's in there. Let me try that note. Let me try those two. And then you go back and you play it again. And then at the point of the chord, you play along with it. And then if it sounds perfect, then you say, okay, now I have the second note. Okay, let me go a step further. Okay, let me try this note. You try all 3 of those together. And then you play that point in the song. And then once it gets there, you play the 3 notes together. And you listen. You say, okay, that sounds pretty close. And you keep going like that. Now, it may take a long time, but if you keep doing it, your ear is going to get very keen. And your ear is going to get to the point where things like that, you're going to do it so fast. So that's what I call the trial and error test. Another thing that I recommend doing when you're trying to learn to play songs by ear is to listen for all of the extras. And by extras, I mean listen to, is there a guitar riff in the song? Are there horn lines in the song? Are there bells or strings and things that are playing specific things within the song? Okay, and you want to play that, whatever the song may be. So what am I playing? I'm playing actually, it's like I don't know, a string line or a bell sound or something like that with the actual chords that are going on. And it makes it sound more like how the song sounds. So you want to try to use everything to your advantage. Listen for horns, listen for the guitar, listen for bells, listen for strings, listen for vocal things that are going on. Listen for all of that and try to pick it out and include it with the chords and the bass notes that you're playing, and it's going to make it sound more like how the song actually sounds. Okay? And so finally, I just want to encourage you to take your time. Playing by ear is a process. And like I said, the ear is much like a muscle, and you want to develop it. And it takes time to develop it. So it won't happen overnight. But if you're committed to practicing and committed to doing the things that are necessary in order for you to grow and increase musically, you can do it. You really can. I just share with you my personal experience with playing by ear. I'm to the point now, and it's not every song. Some songs still kind of throw me for a loop, if I be honest. But I'm to the point now where if I listen to a song one time, I pretty much know how to play it just from hearing it. I don't even have to be at the piano. I can be in my car driving, and I listen to it. And if I really pay attention to it, sometimes if I'm not paying attention to the song, you know, it really doesn't count. But if I'm really paying attention to the song, like the details and the chords and the bass notes and all of that, I'm really focusing on it. For the most part, I pretty much can play it the first time I hear it, you know. Now, remembering it, that's something different. But in terms of knowing what's happening with the chords, after the first time, I pretty much can play it. But the reason I can do that is not because I'm so super gifted, or anything. That's not it. The reason I can do that is because I did the things that I'm telling you to do over the years, where I spent. Sometimes I would spend literal days in trying to learn how to play one song. I remember the very first time I tried to learn how to play a song by ear. It took me literally, and I'm not exaggerating, it took me about 2 weeks to figure out the key of the song. Not even to learn to play the song. It took me about 2 weeks to learn the key of what the key of the song was. So I wasn't good at this when I first started, but now thing I hear, I can pretty much play it like after the first time. So and I only said that to encourage you, no matter where you are in your development. And we're all getting better. I'm growing. I'm learning. I'm getting better. I'm not there yet, and I'm practicing and working hard every day, trying to improve. And so I just want to encourage you. No matter where you are in terms of your plan, you may feel like you're not making much progress or you're not doing well at all. I'm telling you, if you just keep working on it, you keep pushing, you keep pressing, you keep being diligent and consistent. Consistency is really the key. You really can do it. And if you do these things that I'm suggesting or recommending, I really believe it'll make a huge difference in your playing. So the keys are: learn new songs, internalize them, and learn your music theory. Learn new songs, really internalize them, the sounds of them, to where you can play them by heart at any time, fluently, easily, and then learn your music theory. Okay? So, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope something was said that will help you in terms of playing by ear or just being a better musician. So, I would encourage you to stop by our website, hollandsmusic.com. We have several resources that I think will be helpful to you in our store area and on our blog, and also mykeyboardconnection.com. It's a subscription-based site where I share many tips and things with you as a gospel musician and help you musically. So again, thank you for this time. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, HMPI, we're serving gospel musicians all over the world.